officer with Attunded. And we've been working with Bogalusa on their strategic plan this year. All right, let's see.
Ms. Huxley, can I kind of make a brief statement, please?
Please.
Yes. This came about with funds from the Louisiana Department of Education. No general fund dollars were used in developing this strategic plan. We put it in the Super App, and they awarded it, and it was approximately $120,000 that we had to contract with 3 select companies we had to pick. I've worked with them before. I know their work, so I chose to go with them because I know what they bring to the table. And it's been a good process. We developed a central office team, which Ms. Huxley will go over in a minute. And just give you a roundabout where we are now. We still have a little bit work left to do, but she's going to bring you the board up to speed to where we at.
Great, thank you, Dr. Hurst. So I'll just start with a little bit about Attunded Education Partners. And as I mentioned, we've been working with Bogalusa on their strategic plan through these 4 phases. So we spent some time just laying a strong foundation. We did some work to understand Bogalusa's current state. Then we helped them develop a focused strategic plan, and we are now in the early phases of planning to implement for next year. These are some of the organizations that we've worked with in their strategic planning efforts. In the project kickoff, we created a steering committee that was responsible for developing the strategic plan, but also leading the execution of the strategic plan. So you'll see here the names and the titles of those leaders who have been instrumental in building this plan. As I mentioned, one of the first steps that we took was to create an organizational diagnostic report that shared challenges and strengths in Bogalusa's current existence. And to do that, we took a look at performance data and analyzed data. We observed classrooms in all of their schools to understand the quality of the instruction. And then we engaged various constituents through a survey, through interviews, and through focus groups to really understand what the people of Bogalusa were experiencing and what they wanted as you all move forward. In that report, we surfaced some key strengths that are really worth celebrating. So one of the strengths was that Bogalusa just has a very strong sense of community, a family atmosphere where the district really cares about improving the lives of students and families. That was really apparent in all of the interviews and in the stakeholder survey. Another improvement that we saw was Bogalusa's test scores and academic results. Some significant increases in the last few years, which is extremely impressive. We noted that student culture and safety has also improved throughout the system, and that was clearly evident in the constituent perspectives. In the observations of classrooms, we observed the majority of them, 83%, were conducive to learning. There is a high quality standards aligned curriculum in place at all schools. And in observations, about 75% of teachers were consistently using the materials. And then the last strength was really about the central office instructional team. We just heard feedback, saw in observations their commitment to improving instruction with clear instructional systems in place. So these are some of the strengths that we lifted from the report. We also surfaced some key gaps that Bogalusa then the team looked at in the strategic plan to figure out ways to close these gaps. So the first key gap was around student outcomes. And while we have seen, or they have seen improvement over the last years, there was an acknowledgement that there's a desire for even accelerated growth in student outcomes. We also noted that while the majority of the teachers were using the curriculum, 79% of the teachers were making planning and facilitation choices that actually lowered the curriculum or lowered the standard of rigor in classrooms. Though culture has stabilized, a preponderance of evidence suggests that discipline is overly punitive. We took this from both the out-of-school and in-school suspension rates, as well as feedback from students and families. Overall, evidence reveals that there are opportunities to better engage, include, and invest the community in district-wide decisions. So there is a desire from multiple stakeholders for more inclusion in decision-making. And then lastly, some stakeholders raise concerns around facilities, both the lack of the outdatedness and the upkeep of facilities. So to respond to these challenges, I'll have Dr. Hurst just share the priorities that the team surfaced.
Thank you, Ms. Huxley. So after receiving that data and reviewing it with the team that she identified, we came up with 4 priorities within the district that we want to focus on the next 3 to 5 years. One was instructional planning for rigor, making sure that our students are getting high quality and being challenged in the classroom. Empathetic approach to student well-being. We do understand that we have some mental health issues. We understand that our students and also our employees deal with a lot outside of the campus. So how can we support them in that? Holistic family engagement and facilities and infrastructure. So we want to improve instructional planning to ensure all students have access to grade appropriate assignments. We want to develop and implement an approach to discipline that prioritizes understanding, relationship building, proactive support, and students' mental health. We want to foster strong ongoing partnerships with families by adopting a holistic approach that values and actively seeks the input of family members in their child's educational journey. And facilities and infrastructure, upgrade and build high quality facilities and infrastructure to foster excellent learning environments for students and staff to thrive. Now, for each of those priorities, we listed some initiatives, and I'm going to just share a few from each one. So instructional planning for rigor. We want to have unit and lesson internalization. Central office leaders refine and principals and coaches implement systems across schools to support teachers to develop their understanding and preparation of curricular lessons and units. Observation and feedback. Central office leaders refine and principals and coaches strengthen observation and feedback systems to develop teachers' ability and efficacy to execute rigorous and engaging lessons across schools. The student work analysis. Central office leaders and refine and principals and coaches strengthen student work analysis systems to develop teachers' ability and efficacy to analyze and respond to grade level student work. So that's all on the instructional planning for rigor. And for that priority, we have a list of steps that we're going to do that we're still finalizing that we're going to present in a later date. For an empathetic approach to student well-being, we want to focus on the student culture vision. We will develop a shared school culture vision and align expectations, systems, and routines to develop teachers' capacity to lead joyful, engaging, and empowering classroom across schools. For student mental health supports, we want to look at our community partners, identify them, implement, and monitor strategies to improve students' mental health. Alternatives to suspensions. School leaders, in alignment with revised policies and procedures, develop alternatives to suspensions, including assets that both appropriately address student behaviors and maintain a safe and productive learning environment, and staff capacity development and student culture. We want to create a culture and vision and revise policies and procedures, develop teacher capacity to build strong classroom cultures, and effectively manage student behavior. So even with that priority, we have a list of steps and things that we're going to do within that priority to support our students and our teachers. And like I said, we are still building out what that looks like. Holistic family engagement. For family engagement vision, develop a shared vision and expectations for holistic and authentic family engagement in order to strengthen relationships, trust, and public perception of the district with families. For staff capacity development and family engagement, central office leaders in partnership with school leaders and in alignment with family engagement vision, develop teacher capacity to engage families in holistic and authentic ways. We want our families to be part of this process. We want to develop those relationships. So we understand that we need to do some things within the school system to let our parents know that you are welcome. We value your input. So we're going to develop plans to address that as well. And finally, facilities and infrastructure, community investment, stakeholders generate the demand for developing plan and invest the entire community to address the needs of Bogalusa aging facilities and infrastructure. We have some schools 60, 70 years old that our students are in. So we really need to focus on how we're going to improve those conditions. Capital investment and funding, secure funding sources for a new school construction. I hope it's one day have a new school, particularly for our K-5, and possibly some upgrades at our high school. And new school construction, central office, figures for community support, design and build new elementary schools. So that's our vision. Those are the priorities. So we have 4 priorities we're going to focus on moving forward, but we're still building out the steps of what those priorities are going to look like and how we're going to do it. So I'll turn it back over to Ms. Huxley.
Great, thank you so much. And so the team worked really hard to identify research-based proven practices through their priorities and really narrow the focus. We then took those priorities and initiatives that Dr. Hurst just shared, and we sent out a survey to get feedback on those priorities and their initiatives. And you'll see here that 69% of the participants of the survey agree or strongly agree that these are priorities and initiatives that will truly move Bogalusa forward. Some key headlines that emerged from the survey are here. 1, the facilities and infrastructure, family engagement, and discipline priorities resonated most strongly with stakeholders. 2, while most stakeholders agree with the plan and did not suggest changes, some desire better communication, follow through, and implementation overall. And then 3, some teachers and school staff had concerns about the discipline and the rigor priorities. So with that, the team agreed to address the feedback by ensuring that the deliverables include multiple communication and feedback opportunities, that they establish progress monitoring structures to assess the follow-through, accountability, and progress toward the plan. And then 3, they are going to add perception measures to the curricular and discipline initiatives to understand and respond to how the constituent groups are reacting to the changes. So for example, the percentage of teachers who believe that unit and lesson internalization systems are helpful. They'll be surveying different groups throughout next year to make sure that voices are incorporated into their planning and execution. And then as Dr. Hurst alluded to, there are many initiatives in the strategic plan, and they're very aware that they can't execute everything all at once. So they looked to sequence these initiatives over the next 5 years. So this shows you, for example, under the first priority around instructional planning for rigor, the initiatives that Dr. Hurst shared won't be launched all in 1 year, but instead they'll be launched over these 3 years so that teachers have an opportunity to learn and improve their practice before another initiative is introduced. So you'll see this for the instructional planning for rigor, the empathetic approach to student well-being, the holistic family engagement, and the facilities and infrastructure. So the next step that we'll be working with the team on is finalizing measures and then setting database targets to measure impact and progress. So this is an example of their mission measures, what they hope to see in the next 5 years, with really clear targets that are based on where they're starting, a baseline, but also aggressive for where they want students to be. So you'll see here percentage of students graduating with college and or career credentials, percent of K-2 students meeting literacy benchmarks, percent of 3 through 8 students achieving mastery or meeting top growth in both subjects, math and reading, the percent of high school students who are meeting or exceeding ACT or work keys, college or career benchmarks, the percent of students in A schools, and the percent of students reporting high levels of student or school belonging. All right, I'm going to pause here and give you an opportunity to ask any clarifying questions first, and then ask you to share any hopes or concerns that you have around the strategic plan. So let's start with clarifying questions.
I like the way that a lot of this lines with a lot of what Dr. Hurst has been preaching since he got here. A lot of this lines very well with those things. The turn, the pivot won't be very hard for us to get there. I think we're definitely on the right road to get a lot of this going already.
I think y'all did an excellent job of planning this strategic plan, and it's all falling in line with what Dr. Hurst has been explaining to us.
Any hopes or concerns after hearing about the strategic plan?
Making sure that we communicate and get buy-in from all stakeholders.
Well, I'll just say that it's been a real pleasure to work with Dr. Hurst and his team. They've been fully engaged, very honest about where Bogalusa is, but where they believe it can go. And the plan is ambitious, but very doable. And they're committed to really strong implementation. So I look forward to watching Bogalusa grow in the next few years.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for taking time to work with the city of Bogalusa Schools.
Of course. All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you too. This recording will be posted online along with a copy of the semi-completed application plan for the public review, and we'll provide a link for anyone